Okay, Florida Explorer here. We're on our last day of our vacation. Tomorrow morning we head home. And we stopped here on the way back from the Salty store at this is the White Cemetery, the White Church Cemetery, I should say. There's been a Methodist church on this site since the first settlers came here in the 1820s, and the guy who was the big wheel back then donated this land to the church for the cemetery. You can see the church right there off in the distance. We're in Salty Nakuchi area, very historical area. It's a valley, and this is where some of the first settlers came. The area we're looking at now up front is pretty much the newest area, but what makes this for us one of the most significant cemeteries we've ever visited, well, there's several things actually. There's people here going back to the 1820s. I gotta get my shadow out of the way. But another thing that makes this very significant and unusual are these mounds. The markers are simply stone. This is buried 1833, but the marker is a stone pile of rocks. I mean, not to sound too crass about it, but that's basically what it is. Here we have 1843 burials. So this whole area right in through here is all almost 200-year-old burials, and that makes it very significant for us. The third thing, and we're going to go take a look back at that in a moment, is that some archaeologists came out here in the last few years and identified all the slave graves. One of the things that makes this unique is that they had their slaves worshiping at the same church they did, and their slaves were buried in the same ground they were, albeit unmarked. I didn't see the trail yet, but and you can talk up. But that's what made me go back and get the cameras. Like, I started seeing all that, and it started going back in there. And I was like, man, I got to film this bad boy. And here's another one of those mounds. But we're going to go back and take a look now. They're unmarked, but the archaeologists have identified them with the iron crosses. There's little, not the German iron cross, but the iron crosses. So that's how they've marked those graves. Which is unique also, because we don't see that anybody, even in this day and age, is taking that much time and effort to find and mark unmarked graves of any kind. Certainly not slave graves. So that's pretty cool. I mean, I know it's economics, but I find it heartbreaking that people of whatever their station in life might have been have to be out here with nothing to mark their passing. You know, even in that grave the cemetery we went to in Tampa, the Cuban pirate that got lynched, he has a marker. I mean, the slave that got hanged, he had a marker. I mean, all those people had some kind of marker. But here they're just stuck in the ground. And here's one of these crosses, but that's the lovely research assistant is pointing out now, and she could probably tell you too that there's a trail back there, a path of some sort going back. And here's a recent monument that these archaeologists erected to the slaves and the slave graves. And you can see, it might not come out well on camera, but these things are everywhere. There's, what did you say there were? How many are there? You read in your research a few moments ago? Over 100?
120?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, very neat. Okay, cool. Wow, so without these archaeologists and their efforts, we'd have no clue. And how many cemeteries have we been to at home and here or wherever else? Might be the same thing. People just buried off in the woods that nobody cared nothing about. And, I mean, Micanopy, Evergreen, the one in Jacksonville, all the old cemeteries that would have had people who owned slaves back in the day. Wow. So you'd probably use, man, this goes back really, I had no idea when I got the camera it went back this far. This is extensive. 120 graves. And you can see they're dotted. They just dot the landscape. And they're laid out, I mean, they're laid out geometrically or in some sort of order. You can see the line of them. So they had a purpose and a plan for burying these people when they did so. It's just they didn't mark them. And here's a stone of some kind all the way out here by itself. So somebody must have loved their slave enough to mark some kind of stone out here. Say again?
Some of them have little stones.
Oh, neat. Yeah, this is one of the coolest things we've ever seen. From a cemetery standpoint, for sure. And these little iron markers are just everywhere. 120 people buried back, and you can see back there. You can see where the stone. There's the monument where we started. So that's 100 yards. Basically, a football field filled with people. With a couple of obelisks. That's obviously something that somebody's erected. But nothing more significant than that than to mark these people's passing or living. Sad. Sad that people treat each other so basely. I wonder if back in the day there wasn't at least some wood markings or something. Maybe other slaves would have come out here in their free time and put a wooden cross in there or something. Of course, that wouldn't have withstood almost 200 years. Yeah. More than likely. Part of history, but it certainly is a sad part. And then we come back to the white area, and we have all the people who get markers. Some don't get really good markers, but some of them just get a little insignificant. That's a UBC marker right there. You guys served this country. See, some people only get that, and that might have had some markings on it at some point. But right now, there's nothing on there that you can read, or this, or that. So, if you're poor and you die, I guess you're just hosed. So from the Salty Nakuchi Valley at the White Methodist Church Cemetery in White County, Georgia, for the lovely research assistant and the Florida Explorer. We are going to photograph that area, the slave area, more extensively because I find that the most compelling part of this whole deal. And I'm glad you read that. That was cool. And then continue on our adventure, which includes a waterfall and maybe a store between now and dark, and a walk around Helen, and that'll be our sign. Yeah, hopefully a campfire too. That'll be our sign off for the trip. So for now, we are out.